This video is sponsored by Best Buy. So our full review of the Lucid Air went up at this point about 2 weeks ago, and there was a lot of questions in there, and I expected a lot of questions. You have a new car from a new company, a lot of things people want to know about how things work, and also a lot of misunderstandings about the car. So I've compiled most of the questions that I saw all the time in the comments and things that I got on social media, try to give you the definitive owner's version of a Lucid Air Q&A. And as a reminder, I have the Lucid Air Dream Edition. Those sort of the early launch edition cars that now has been sold out. So now the top of the line car is a Lucid Air GT. So what I had and what I paid is sort of not the current state of Lucid. So since the video, have any software updates fixed issues? If so, which ones? Yes, they have. So one of the biggest ones that I had was I could not rely on my phone as a key to work and unlock the car. I used to carry the fob with me because it was so unreliable. I got actually an app update, not actually a car update, that seems to fix that issue, where now I'm just using the phone as a key. That's been awesome as well. I got an update on the car that did speed up the launch time. When you get in the car, it takes 30-ish, 40 seconds for it to fully come on. You can drive the car during that time, but to get everything up and working, 360 cameras, that kind of stuff, still takes a while. So it's nice to see that time get shrunk down a little bit. So what is a feature you wish the Air had or would get? Solid question. So I was really excited for the Air to try CarPlay and Android Auto, and they have it worded a bit squirrely on the site. It says like supports them. I'm waiting for those to come over the Air update. And I know the old trope, don't buy anything based on future updates. I'm hopeful that they come. I'm hopeful that they will be there. And the other feature that I wish it had is something that it should be getting soon, and that's Dream Drive Pro, which is more of a full self-driving, autopilot style autonomy. I'd love to be able to have that option there. The car's got the sensors and the hardware to allegedly do it, but is not released yet on the car. So all the features that I wish the car had are things that are allegedly coming, but that's allegedly in air quotes. I'll believe it when I see it. So something you miss from your other cars. So there's a lot of Tesla questions, we'll call them polite questions, in the comments. And as a reference, I drove an original Model S, about a 2012 for 3 years, Model X for 3 years, and then Model 3 for 2 years. So I have a lot of Tesla experience. And there are some things that I miss from the Tesla side. I don't do that many road trips, so the supercharger network is not a giant deal for me. I charge the car at home, but I know for a lot of people that's a huge, huge deal breaker. But one of the things that I miss most from Tesla is software. Tesla's software and how quickly they iterate is really incredible. I think in a lot of ways, Tesla's strength is on the software side. And you can see that in all their cars. And as somebody, again, who drove an early Model S, that was not always the case. Their software was kind of a mess. And you saw it get better and better year over year to where it is really good. Now, you might not like the UI of version 11, but the software itself that's working on the car is awesome. I think that's something where Lucid still has a ways to go to get that software to Tesla's level. Now, Lucid Air software is very usable, it's easy to use, but you can see that it's still in its infant stage. And again, it reminds me of a lot of those early Model S days, and I knew that going in. Software is probably the biggest one that I missed from Tesla. That aside, I also really miss having sort of the always-on dash cam ability that I had in my Model 3, being able to sort of record what's going on, be able to have Sentry mode, see the car from my phone. Those are all things that I really liked having. Now I'm hopeful Lucid will get them. They're not there now. Lucid's never said they're going to be there, so I don't know. Those are all things that I found really useful and helpful that I do miss from my Tesla. Okay, so this is a heavy car. Of course, it is fast in a straight line, but do you feel the weight and size in day-to-day driving? So this is an interesting question. There are a lot of folks that want to know about the drive. I think there's two things to understand. A heavy car versus a heavy car with a really low center of gravity drive very, very differently. So this is a heavy car. It's got a big battery pack. It's a big giant car. It weighs about 6,000 pounds. To me, it doesn't drive like a 6,000 pound car because pretty like most modern EVs, it's a skateboard platform. The batteries are down low. I love the way it drives. Whether it's around corners or straight line, obviously, like you said, is super fun. It drives really, really well. I don't feel the weight. But then again, my frame of reference is electric cars for the past 8 years that always were heavy. Now it's obviously heavier than the Model 3 that I just drove, but maybe I'm used to it. But I really like how the car drives, and I do not feel the weight at all. If you've driven maybe a heavy internal combustion sedan or a heavy internal combustion SUV and you're worried it's gonna feel like that, where there's a lot of weight obviously in the front from where the engine is, it doesn't drive like that at all. So there was a recall with the Lucid Air recently. What was your experience? So this got a lot of attention. So there was I believe a third-party supplier that shipped some struts to some of the early Lucid Air Dream Editions that potential to come loose. Every car has recalls. It didn't bother me at all. I can't think of one car that I've ever driven that hasn't had multiple recalls. What Lucid did was they sent me an email and then a letter. I emailed the service center and they scheduled an appointment the next day to hang out their mobile tech, check out the car. I didn't have the issue, and that was it. They came to the studio right here, looked at the car while I was filming, and sent me a text that it was all done. It was a very easy, simple experience. It did give me confidence that had there been a problem, or for future recalls, which are inevitable, Lucid will handle them very quickly. A slight concern that I would have is if I had the car that was far away from a service center. We happen to have one 20 minutes away, so it was really easy. But if you're buying a car where they don't have a service center in your area yet, Lucid said they will drive to you and make sure that all their customers get service, but maybe that would have been a couple more days. If it had been a serious recall, perhaps it would have been a concern, but I don't know, something to keep in mind. Lots of questions about the Aero wheels, what they look like. So these wheels were limited to the Dream Edition if you got the 21-inch wheels. And like Tesla, you can take those Aero caps out, and this is what they look like. I do wish the calipers were painted red. I think that would look pretty dope. I've kept them in. Originally, I didn't like the look of these sort of Aero wheels, and then they've grown on me. I have no idea what they add for aerodynamics. I imagine some, and they help with range, but I've kind of gotten used to the looks. I may pull them out. They're pretty easy to pull out. You just literally pull it out, and you can take out all the plastic pieces if you want. You prefer that look, but I don't know. It's a personal preference, I guess. You can pick if you like them in or out. For now, I've kept them in, but who knows? Maybe I'll feel saucy in a few months and pull the suckers out again. There was a lot of questions about the sound system, and if I probably should have talked about this in the review. I didn't though, because I mostly listen to audiobooks. So I don't pay that much attention to the 21 speakers surreal sound and the fact that the Lucid Air is the first car with Dolby Atmos built in. So I did listen to music so I could do this question answer for you to show how good the sound system is. I mean, it sounds awesome to me. I haven't listened to many modern cars where I thought, wow, that sounds horrible. It sounded better and it sounded really good. One cool thing though about having that many speakers is you get spatial alerts. So if there's a car coming from the left, I'm getting an alert there, I'll hear the sound from the left. That's helpful and kind of better for safety. So I don't have to hear an alert, look down, see where it's coming from, and then look up. I just know to look to the left or look to the right. That's cool. If you're an audio person though, the sound system here, very good. So another question that I get, well, not from the Lucid video, but in general, is what tablet should I get? Which is a great segue to this video sponsor, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 line and Best Buy. And I've said in a lot of my phone videos, I am a screen snob. So you take a 14.6 Samsung made screen, that's 120 Hertz, and it looks as incredible as you would expect. Now there are other tablets in the Tab S8 line, and they're good. The Ultra's got like such a soft spot in my heart. So first of all, it's amazing for media consumption. You got a screen that big. It is made to be consumed too in landscape also, which is awesome. It's got a fingerprint reader actually built into the screen, which is really cool. It's got DeX built in as well, so you can do a lot of PC things with it. If you don't know what DeX is, essentially it'll window your app so you can multitask and use it with a mouse and keyboard. Super awesome to have. You get options to use it with the S Pen as well. It actually comes with the S Pen. It's weird to talk about cameras on tablets. This one actually has a 4K ultra wide camera built in. It'll keep you in frame for video calls as well. Microsoft 365 integration built in. This thing is an absolute beast, and I have enjoyed every second of using it. Whether or not you are in the Samsung ecosystem or the Android ecosystem, it really doesn't matter. especially for a tablet. This is a perfect companion device, the perfect primary device. It's great for pretty much anything that you want to do with it. So if you want to check out any of the Tab S8s, but if you decide to pick up the Tab S8 Ultra, Best Buy is hooking you up with a $100 gift card, which is a pretty awesome thing to have. We'll link to all that information down below. With all that glass, how is the heat inside the car manageable? So it's kind of similar to a Model X style windshield where the glass goes all the way back. So I never noticed the heat inside of my Model X. My wife was very sensitive to it. She used to always say it was too hot in the car and she could feel it on her head. In the Lucid, she's said it feels really good and doesn't notice all the glass there. And that's been my experience too. I don't know how they've coded or what they've done. I don't feel any heat on my head at all. It doesn't make the cabin any warmer. So if that's an issue or something you're worried about, I wouldn't sweat it at all. Literally, it does a really nice job blocking out heat. How long will it take to receive the car if I place an order now? Yeah, I got no idea. I'm not sure even Lucid has any idea. And judging by how many cars they've delivered, it's probably a while. For reference though, they started delivering cars, as far as I can tell, let's say December 1st of 2021. Maybe it was end of November. So I originally pre-ordered mine in June of 21. I originally ordered a GT, but there's a little option box like, hey, if a Dream becomes available, do you want one? So when that whole situation happened with the Mercedes I was going to get, I reached out to Lucid, was like, hey, I know I selected this box. This is probably November. If you can get me a Dream Edition, I'll take it. So I took delivery of the car December 11th. So for me, it was place an order in June. They weren't delivering cars at all. And then I got it in December. So maybe that helps. So sure, Lucid's making cars, but how long do you think it will take them to reach mass market with their other models? So since the review, earnings have come out, and there's a lot of questions that people have there. Listen, I'm not a stock advisor. I'm not telling you what you should do in the market. You should invest in Lucid or not invest in Lucid. They're doing something different, or they're trying to do something different than other EV makers. They're really trying to lean heavily into the luxury side. So they release cars that have a lot of imperfections. Let's say, panel gaps or parts coming off the car. It's really gonna hit the luxury side. So to me, it wasn't a surprise that they didn't deliver as many as they expected. They're probably inspecting these cars like crazy. I imagine that there are component shortages. I don't care, I'm just an owner with a car, so I have no real stake in how many cars they deliver or don't deliver. Rather, they take their time and get each car outright. If you're an investor, then obviously those numbers matter much more to you, and there's probably another story to tell there about why they missed projections and why they missed them so much, what are they gonna do to scale up and hit mass market. I don't think mass market for them is going to be the GT that's sort of top of the line right now. I think it's probably going to be the Touring, the one right below that comes sort of more in line with price to a long-range Model S, and then we'll start to see how much market, how much tolerance there is for the more luxury side of the world. What is the real-world range? Do you wish you got the long-range model or performance? Yeah, that's a good question. I think about this one probably more than I should. If you don't know, there are two different versions of the Dream Edition. You can get a performance one or a range one, and then inside of those worlds, you can pick 19-inch or 21-inch wheels. The range version, the smaller wheels, you get up to 520 miles of range, which is awesome. I went the opposite of that with the performance and the big tires and about 470 miles of range. And I thought it would have been really cool to see 500 miles of range to do a full charge. Like I said, I'm not a big road trip guy, so it hasn't really been an issue. The range is not a concern with me with the car, so if I could go back in time again, I think I would still get the performance version. So I'm still happy with the version that I got. I did charge it up close to 100% though. And I got about 455, 460 of real world range. I never drove it that far. That's at least what it showed me in the morning. And in my experience, it's been pretty close to accurate to actually what I get, which has been nice. So if I said 460, I probably would have gotten probably 400 miles. I drive with a heavier foot, in all fairness. Which is why I'm happy I got the performance version. It's got 1,111 horsepower and a 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. And a car that fast, it feels, I'm going like chef kiss emoji. I love stomping on the accelerator in that car. What would you change about the car? So one of the big pushes that Lucid's making about the car, they have a lot of short videos on it, is their Alexa integration and how it can control everything in the car. Alexa's a mess in this car right now. It is almost an unusable mess. I can't use it currently to make phone calls. Some people can, I've saw it on the forums, Every box is checked, everything has been double checked to make sure settings were given. It doesn't work in my car. I can't send text messages either in my car with Alexa, which is very annoying. Sometimes it works for navigation, sometimes it doesn't. It's getting better, but it is not good right now. So I would change that. I would love to sort of long press the voice button and pull up Google Assistant or Siri and be able to use those instead of Alexa. The best part of Alexa in the car though is my kids like to do the choose your own adventure stories. That part though does work very well. After all this, is the car worth it? Is it worth the price? Are you happy with your decision? And this is a very subjective question. So there were a lot of reasons that I wanted to get the car last calendar year, why I wanted a car that was over 6,000 pounds. It all make me very happy with the Lucid Air. But as far as sort of general purchase in a car, I would get it again. How about that? Now I knew what to expect going in, and you may not have a tolerance for this or not expect it at the price point of the car. I've seen the software already get better over 2 months, which has been really nice. But when I first took delivery of the car, software was a mess. And I think a mess is a nice term for it. Now, it's now very good. If it had delivered with this version of software, I probably would have been like, this is great. New company, your car is solid. There's still a lot of stuff you could fix. I'm still happy with it. I wish the software was better, but the drive, every time I drive the car, I'm like, damn, they got this part really right. And that's something you can easily fix with software updates. So I love driving the car. I love being in the car. The fact that I can fit 3 car seats in the back has been absolutely awesome. So the moral is yes, I'm happy. And yes, I would get the car again. But ask me in a few months, maybe that'll change. But the biggest question, the one that I got more than any other question at all about the Lucid Air was why get this over a Model S Plaid? Stay tuned. That is a question for another much more detailed video that's gonna be coming very, very soon. That one aside though, if you have other questions you want about the Lucid Air, let us know in the comments and I will try to answer it. Keep it civil. This isn't a comparison on one car versus the other. So keep it civil. If you have questions you wanna know, I'm happy to answer it. It's by no means a perfect car or a perfect company, but I've been enjoying it. Doesn't mean it's for you. Doesn't mean it has to be for you, but the more choice that's out there, I think the better. And I am glad that Lucid exists and I'm excited to see what comes next from them.